Hello everyone, welcome to part 2 of this 3-part finale of Backtracking Season 4 Zebrahead. Let's move things right along with Zebrahead's 5th album, Waste of MFZB. Excuse me a sec. Released in 2004, this one is the band's only release for Sony Music International, and it was produced by Cameron Webb. Now, background. So this would be the band's last with their lineup at the time, as Justin Moriello would leave after touring to promote the album's release due to creative differences. He since started a band called the Darling Thieves, formerly known as I Hate Kids. Since the rapping, singing cover was an essential part in Zebrahead's original sound, they went on the hunt for a new singer, soon finding Matty Lewis. Matty had toured with Zebrahead before as part of a band called Jank 1000, and Ben and Ed from The Age advised Matty to try it for them. He did, and in 2005 at the Anaheim House of Blues, Matty was fully integrated into the band, of which he is still part today. Back to talking about this album, though. Now, this was a Japan exclusive release, and almost all the songs were written for MFZB, but they didn't make the final cut here. The only songs to have stayed over were the band's cover of Wannabe by Spice Girls, which was a bonus track on MFZB, and the song Lightning Rod, which featured on the single release of Rescue Me from their previous album, but it had a different name in Outcast. In fact, despite the album topping the Billboard Japan chart and a good tour to promote it, the album only had one single released in the first track titled Are You For Real? I guess that the album didn't see a lot of success because it's exclusive to Japan. I don't know, but what I do know is that this album is the good kind of this album. What do I mean by that? Well, you remember last year when I covered Eminem for my Season 3 finale and talked about how lazy Encore felt? Yeah, Waste of MFZB doesn't really have that problem. Don't get me wrong, these are still leftover songs, sure, but there was actual effort put into them. Heck, in terms of structure, this is one of the band's first albums to try and experiment more with weird stuff, and I appreciate the more irreverent style, and lyrics cover relationships, betrayal, and topics, making it one of the band's more serious albums in terms of lyrical content, and the band sound damn good here too. Ali's rapping is slick as usual with good lines. Justin's last performance has good range here and his riffs are big and heavy. Greg's own riffs are solid with some nice solos here and there as well. Ben's bass has good scales and licks of its own with a good groove, and Ed's drumming is fast and heavy with good pacing. Certain songs include Are You For Real, One Less Headache, One Shot, Blindside, and my favourite in Veils and Visions. Waste of MFZB might be short, but it's fun, a bit more daring than the band's usual fare, and with more serious subjects to talk about, it's nothing to sneeze at, so I can recommend this one. We then reached the band's 6th album, Broadcast to the World. Released in 2006, this one would be released for Icon Mez, and it was again produced by Cameron Webb. Now, background. So obviously I talked about the time between Waste of MFZB and this album, which was his departure and Matty joining as the new singer/rhythm guitarist. What I didn't say is that before listening to my first full Zebrahead album, I heard the song Anthem from this album. Now, I knew Zebrahead's name before and thought that this was a change in style, especially since it sounded closer to the other bands I was listening to at the time. Heck, I didn't even pick up on the clean singer changing until he actually started singing the chorus. You have to remember, the only other two songs I really recalled before Anthem were Falling Apart and Alone, two of Zebrahead's more aggressive songs, which ironically come from an album where they leaned into a more punk rock sound. Thankfully, since I'm covering them for this episode and I'm required to listen to all of their albums as part of that, it's in my contract, it's not as much of a whiplash now, but back then it took me a bit longer to adjust. Anyway, the album was initially released in Japan in February 2006, where it got certified gold yet again, and it was later made available worldwide in October of that year. In between that time and in 2007, the band played as part of that year's Warped Tour, and they even appeared at Download 2, growing a steady fan base in the UK as well as Japan. They then took a break from touring to write material for their next album before continuing their tour, hitting up Europe in May 2007 on a co-headline tour with Freaking MXPX, and they'd later toured the UK as part of Bowling for Soup's annual Get Happy tour. But is this album worth all that trouble? Well, fuck yeah, I like to think so. It's one of them more ranged albums with good mixes of all their styles that make the overall structure cohesive and strong, and props to Cameron Webb's production work, the dude absolutely kills it. The lyrics cover breakups, anger, and addiction, so it's a good mix of the band's subjects, and the band themselves all really kill it here. Ali's vocals fire off well on all fronts with good bars and screams. Matty's riffs are punchy, and his singing has really good range too for his debut for the band. Greg really comes into his own here as a guitarist, more with amazing solos and riffs. Ben's bass has good licks with a deep drive to it, which I like, and his drum work is impacting, hefty, and sharp. Standout songs include Anthem, the title track, The Walking Dead, Common Flavored Whiskey, and my favourite in Wake Me Up. Broadcast of the World shows some of the band's best work of versatility, nice writing, and superb performances, and good production. So I can recommend this one. That's sort of not a surprise because everyone really liked Broadcast of the World, because it's good. We then move on to the band's 7th album, Phoenix. Released in 2008, it would be the band's last one through Icon Mez, and it was produced by Cameron Webb and Howard Benson. Now, background. So I didn't have room to mention this when I was talking about Broadcast of the World, but during the time between tours to write new music for Phoenix, Zebrahead did start working with Howard Benson again, as well as the man himself and Jason Freese, who did play keyboards on their last album and continues to do so here too. To promote Phoenix, the band released the Not a New Album EP a day before the album itself, and they were going to tour in the UK to support the album, hitting up Download, Leeds, Slam Dunk and Greenfield, before going around Europe and Japan again for the rest of the year. They did plan to go to their home country at some point, but Matty Lewis got ill, so they had to cancel that plan after they were all done with the tour that they were doing over here-ish. Besides the touring, the band did promote the album with 3 singles, each with music videos. Mental Health was the first, followed by Hell Yeah, and then Juggernauts. This album also sort of holds the record in terms of Zebrahead albums for most songs I heard from one of their albums before actually listening to it. I even heard one of the bonus tracks in We're Not a Cover Band, We're a Tribute Band, which sharp-eared viewers might recall as being the intro song from Guitar Hero 3, which is a fucking awesome game. Interestingly also, this album does have the most tracks by the band with a total of 16, which is 1 song longer than their longest album in MFZB. Also, Phoenix is 1 minute shorter than MFZB, so have fun trying to work that one out. Oh god, we're going back into the op territory. No. Shh. We focus on this. I think this album sort of got me interested back in the band, as it does contain the song Juggernauts, which was the first one I heard from them besides Anthem from Broadcast of the World. It would be a wee bit of time before I'd listen to my first full Zebrahead album, but we'll get to that when we get to it. This album is really good. It's got the band's great sense of tone and pacing and fun, with great structuring and production. The lyrics cover mental health, addiction, and political unrest, so it's maybe some of the band's more serious stuff, and the band themselves are really good at that stuff as well, indeed. Ali keeps up with really good sharp bars and good flow with his raps. Matty's own vocals sound a bit heavier, with some good riffs on his guitar. Greg's guitar work is amazing licks and solo work. Ben's bass riffs and scales are thick and meaty, and his drumming is punchy and graded and nice and heavy and good. Standard songs include Hell Yeah, Juggernauts, Hit the Ground, 2 Wrongs Don't Make a Right but 3 Rights Make a Left, and my favourite, And Be Careful What You Wish For. Phoenix is the band's best qualities, bolstered with a darker tone in their writing, great production and brilliant performances. Brilliance, not prevalence, so I can recommend this one. And finally, for part 2 of this finale, we cover Zebrahead's 8th album, Get Nice. Released in 2011, it would be the band's only release through Niji Records, and it was produced by Jason Freese, who again plays keyboards here. Not keyboards, no, background. So, as I alluded to earlier ever so subtly, this was indeed my first Zebrahead album that I listened to all the way through, and I think that sort of prepared me for this style a bit better in a way, especially as I haven't missed an album since this one came out. Now, people may have noticed an absence of a certain album, the album being Panty Raid, which came out in 2009. Well, my reason for not covering that is the same as always. I don't really talk about cover albums. So, Anyway, the band went ham when it came to promoting this album. They released the singles Ricky Bobby and the title tracks to promote it, and the album itself at the number 3 spot on the US Heat Seekers chart. The band went on their Get Nice or Die Trying tour to promote it, further going all around Europe, Japan, Australia, and the United States up until the summer of 2012. They later released She Don't Want to Rock as a single, and then Nudist Priest, Truck Stops and Tail Lights, Blackout and Nothing to Lose were all also singles, all with videos which had footage from the band's tours in England, Germany, France, and the UK, respectively. So yeah, the band were pretty busy with this album, and the fact that they put in so much hard work really helped, not to mention that this album is just really good. It was one of my favourites of 2011, but some people do have an issue with the production of it, mostly the mixing. I don't really mind that though, and Jason Freese does a fine job, I feel. He sort of became the unofficial 6th member at this point, which was pretty cool. The album does deserve all of that hype too. As I said before, I really like how it turned out, and the title does indicate the album's overall sound and attitude. It's a really positive sounding one, maybe the most positive that Zebrahead have put out, but it's not without its heaviest songs. The structure really strikes that balance well, with the production being a good part of it, and the lyrics cover bad relationships, depression, and youth issues, giving it a more punk rock flavour than usual, and the band all sound great too. Ali's vocals sound a bit cleaner here with more multi-syllable raps too. Matty's singing is nice and clean with good riffs to help things along. Greg's on riffs are quite beefy, with his solos being absolutely amazing once again. I think this might be some of his best work. Ben's bass is nice and deep, thrumming well, and his drumming has great snare work, good timing, and solid speed. Standard songs include Ricky Bobby, Galileo Was Wrong, The Joke's on You, Kiss Your Ass Goodbye, and my favourite in Nudist Priest, because that is just a great song name. Get Nice is fun, produced well, and solidly written and performed, and also one of Zebrahead's more accessible albums, I feel, so I can recommend this one. Anyway, that about does it for part 2. Join me next time, possibly tomorrow, for the 3rd and final part, where I cover everything from Call Your Friends to the recently released earlier this year album, Brain Invaders. Thank you for watching, you're awesome. Bye-bye.